America's national anthem. The words are deeply embedded into our nation's history and reflect the patriotic spirit of the American people. As most people know, the Star-Spangled Banner was written by Francis Scott Key, a lawyer and amateur poet. It started as a poem he called The Defense of Fort McHenry. It was inspired by the events of the Battle of Baltimore in 1814, 2 years after the start of the War of 1812.
The Battle of Baltimore is a 25-hour bombardment while the British fire 200-pound mortars at Fort McHenry for 25 hours. The goal of the British was to bomb the fort into submission and allow the defenders, or cause the defenders, to flee the fort.
Francis Scott was sent on a special mission by President James Madison to the British fleet. They were unaware that the bombardment was about to start.
Francis Scott Key is sent out to meet the British ships because he's winning the freedom of a gentleman named Dr. Beans, who's captured outside of the burning of Washington.
He won Dr. Beans' freedom, but the Battle of Baltimore had just begun. Key and the others were directed to stay on the British ship for the duration of the battle. During the rainy night, he could see fighting units who defended Fort McHenry and the American flag flying above.
These bombs literally would leave a British warship 2 miles away, would go up in the air, and then 10 feet over their target, Fort McHenry, they'd burst into pieces of shrapnel the size of your fist, and the British will fire 1,800 of them at this fort over the course of 25 hours.
It was during those hours Key immortalized the words, "Rockets' red glare and bombs bursting in air." Then, in the dawn's early light of September 14th, the battle came to an end, and Key watched as a new, larger American flag was raised above Fort McHenry.
And so what we know is that the flag that flew during the battle was a 17 by 25-foot storm flag. And what happened to that flag, we have no idea because it was so tattered by the rain and the bombs and the rockets. What we do know is when that battle comes to an end, if you looked at the fort, you would have seen nothing. The fort was covered in smoke and mist. Because imagine, it's raining, those bombs are bursting, and then finally, an hour after the battle, we hoist up a 30 by 42-foot flag, the Star-Spangled Banner.
The new flag had been commissioned by Major George Armistead, who tasked Mary Pickersgill to make a flag big enough to be seen by the British.
The flag is impressive because it is 30 by 42 feet. So each stripe is 2 feet wide and each star is 2 feet from point to point, making it a quite impressive 30 by 42-foot flag.
That flag inspired Key's poem that became the Star-Spangled Banner. Soon it was put to the music of an English drinking song, and it became the national anthem in 1931 by congressional resolution. Through the years, the first stanza has stood as a refrain of national pride and patriotism, but it's the fourth stanza that Key reminds us to keep our trust in God.
Francis Scott Key, a Christian, makes a very dramatic statement when he says, "In God we trust." And what he's referencing is how, to him, this was a just defense of a town, and that whenever you justly and bravely defend your home, that in God you should trust that He will come and make sure that you are safe and your family is safe.